What's up, guys? It's Brandon Flash. Today you're joining me in Rock Hill, South Carolina at the Circle K because we're going to be doing some efficiency testing with my 2023 Model Y all-wheel drive. We're going to be comparing these EV-based Tempest wheel covers to the stock Gemini wheel covers and to just having no wheel covers to see how much of a difference it makes in your overall efficiency. So like I said, these are the EV-based Tempest. They're kind of Model S copycat wheel covers like they come on the base Model S. We're going to be comparing those to the factory Gemini wheel covers. So these are the 19-inch Gemini base wheels that are available on the Model Y. These are aftermarket covers. We're going to be first running with these. We're going to then pull them off. We'll then compare to the factory Gemini wheel covers, and then we'll pull those off and run just bare wheels and see how they do. We're gonna be doing an approximately 68-mile loop at 70 miles per hour. We're gonna be DC charging before each one. I'm currently at about 60%. We're gonna charge up to 70% until it completes. And then we're going to charge up to 70% until it completes on each one. I set my tire pressures when it was cold this morning to the factory recommended 42 PSI. It's now showing about 46 PSI because I've been driving about 40 miles or so today already. But let's get plugged in. We're going to top off to 70%, and then we're going to hit the road with these wheels, and it's a loop style test. So we're going to be doing about 34 miles each way on I-77 here in South Carolina. So that way we have a pretty consistent test. And let me just show you these wheel covers first. So these are from a company called EV Base. They're 19-inch wheel covers. They're designed to kind of be a copycat to the base Model S wheel covers that Tesla calls the Tempest style. Main difference of these as far as kind of overall shape compared to the factory Gemini covers, and I'll show you guys those once I put them on, is that these actually cover the lip of the wheel. So you can kind of see there, whereas the factory Gemini wheels or wheel covers actually are instead of that. So there's a potential that that could create a little bit of additional drag. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference, but that's what we're going to be testing today. And I've been running these wheel covers for a decent while now, and I don't suspect there will be much of a difference at all. If anything, maybe these are slightly more efficient. I don't really know, but we're gonna find that out today and go from there. So we're plugged in here on the 180 kilowatt ABB Terra 184 DC fast charger using the Tesla CCS adapter right there. So we've got a green light flashing. It'll show kilowatts here in a second. There's also a Power Electronics MB120, and there's now an ABB Terra 360 brand new charger, but that's a topic for another day. Let's see what we're getting. Hasn't refreshed there on the screen. Let's look inside the car. So 59 kilowatts at 60%, about what I'd expect. And then here's the route we're going to be going. So I just have this punched in so I don't forget to turn around at the right spot. But we're just going to be going all the way down I-77. It's about 34 miles. Ignore that little bit, but we're going to then go right back. So right now it's projecting a 48% arrival and 32% round trip estimate. So basically add 10% to both of those, and that should be a pretty decent estimate. We'll see how accurate that is. We're also going to go into the trips here. I'll reset this Quest for 600. If you haven't already, check out that video. I've visited a ton of Tesla superchargers. So we're going to do Tempest as the name here, so that way I can remember which one is which as I'm looking back at the pictures that I'll take when we get back. We'll reset Tempest. And then I'll also reset that again. Let's just reset current trip. And then, so we'll have the current drive since last charge and the named trip. So we'll have kind of some redundancy there in the trips. And different ones give you a little bit different information. So the current drive one will actually give you time, whereas the other trips don't. And I have a spreadsheet that I'm going to be logging this data on, and then I'll also be sharing a link to that down below, either in the description or in the pinned comment. So if you want the raw data, definitely check that out, but I would encourage you to watch the whole video. Just about to click over to 70% and charge complete. Then we'll unplug and we'll be hitting the road. And just to show you guys, oh, there we go. So I'll plug just 1 second. It's a pretty quick, easy on, and then very quick, easy off from I-77. So just gotta unlock the charge port because CCS. And just gonna need two hands to separate that, and then we're gonna immediately get on the road. All right, just unplugged, resetting this trip again. We're into drive. We'll reset current drive and let's get going. And I'm going to be using enhanced autopilot or navigate on autopilot for this rather than the full self-driving beta, just for sake of a little bit less sensitive driver monitoring. And it doesn't really make a difference once you're on the interstate. It's basically the same. So let's get to it. And for conditions, it's about 80 degrees outside. I'm going to be keeping the climate at 64 degrees because I tend to run hot and I like it cool. And it doesn't really matter what that is as long as it's consistent. So we'll be running 64 degrees for all the tests. And there's no passenger, so it's running on driver mode only. We're currently sitting at the light here to turn left to get onto the interstate. And then here's the projections right now. So it thinks we'll get back with 41%. We'll see if that holds true. But otherwise, we're just going to gently accelerate onto the interstate, set autopilot at 71 miles per hour indicated because that's what GPS 70 miles per hour is. We're going to keep a pretty long following distance as much as possible, basically. Not wrong way. So that way we don't have any aero benefit. And then I'll see you guys at the turnaround point to check in and tell you what our efficiency was there. I believe, if I remember correctly, the way there will be slightly less efficient, but it's been a little while since I've run this loop, so we'll see. There we have it, cruising along at 71 miles per hour indicated. I'll see you in about a half hour at the turnaround point. Well, we're just about to get to the turnaround point, 302 watt hour per mile, but let's just get to the end of the exit here. I'll take it off of autopilot in just a moment as we get close to the exit. And then at the stop sign to turn left to then go around, that's when I'll give you an efficiency number for this leg. But there we go, under 300 watt hours per mile. Actually, I believe this leg will be a little bit more efficient than the return leg because we're now about 300 feet elevation less than when we started. We started around 670 feet elevation and now it's about 350. You can't really read the screen on the unit in R7 because of the refresh rate, but that's what it says. So we're now slowing down as we're getting on the exit. And then we'll come up to the stop sign here. And there we go. There we have a value for this leg. So then we can continue on. So 292 watt hour per mile for that leg. 34 miles driven in 32 minutes. Pretty solid. I'll swap the navigation to go back to the Circle K, but we're just going north on I-77 here. And because it's not in the navigation as a charger, it's not going to precondition or anything, so that has no bearing on the efficiency. So swap to returning back to the Circle K. It's projecting arrival of 38%, and we're accelerating back up to 71 indicated, and then we'll lock it back onto autopilot, and I'll see you guys there in about 28 minutes. And we're just exiting I-77 here back to the Circle K, so we'll be there in just a minute. But as of exiting, 300 watt hour per mile, and just a tiny bit left to go. So I'll see you as soon as we pull in, and then I'll be taking a picture of that and logging it, putting it into the spreadsheet that will be linked down below. Just put it in park. We're at 68 miles driven, 1 hour, 2 minutes, 298 watt hour per mile on the Tempest wheel covers. So let's get plugged in. We'll charge back up to 70%, and I'm going to swap onto the factory Gemini wheel covers, and I'll show you guys that in just a minute once I do it. So we're charging. I just want to show you this quick so you can see how the lip here is actually exposed, and looks like they're actually kind of scratching up a little bit from the covers. They do give you some foam with these covers that you probably should put on, I guess, because yeah, it looks like it is scratching them, but I'm not too concerned. Eventually I'll swap these wheels for something else anyway. But you can see here, compared to the cover installed on this front wheel, that it goes over that edge. So we'll see if that makes a difference in efficiency, but gonna go around and swap all four, and there you can see kind of the difference in look as well. I think I personally prefer these quite a bit, but these are actually not terrible. And there you can see wheels swapped. Just to let you guys know, I do have the climate running. I have it on keep climate on, so that way it stays nice and cool and we don't have a lot of thermal load to compensate each time we start. You can see on the passenger side as well. So all 4 covers swapped, and then after this test, we'll be pulling them off completely, putting just center caps on, and I have a nice suction cup tool to pull those off. So charging curve is not great on this car. You can see we're at 48%, getting 76 kilowatts. We're charging up to 70%, so I'm gonna run in and use the restroom. I got a little brake dust on my hands, so just wanna get that off before we get back on the road. And then probably by the time I get back here, it shouldn't be more than a couple more minutes to be able to be back at 70% and do the next round. Well, we're at 69%, just about to click over to 70% and complete. But I'm very curious to see the results of these Gemini covers versus the Tempest covers versus the bare wheels. So you guys comment down below your prediction and then edit it based on your feedback afterwards. I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen. You're doing this in real time with me. We just completed at 70%, so time to unplug, reset the trips, hit the road. So 22.826 kilowatt hour added in 19 minutes flat. Let's reset the trip here. I already renamed it to Gemini, but reset current trip, put it in drive, let's go. And we're off. Let's see again the predictions. So 56 at turnaround, 40 return. We're at 70%, of course. So just waiting here at the stoplight, and we'll get on the road down there. Must say, it's really nice being able to use autopilot the entire way. At least when I had my Rivian doing the efficiency tests, it was pretty finicky about using Driver Plus on this route and would sometimes cut in and out, whereas autopilot just stays on the entire time. Locked in at 71 miles per hour. See you guys in 27 minutes at the turnaround point, or what you guys will see in probably about 5-10 seconds. But we're just about to exit here. I already changed the destination to be back to the Circle K. So just turning off autopilot, and there's the exit there. And just like last time, we're going to be looking at it as we get to the top of the ramp, right as we come to a stop. And for reference, with the Tempest covers, it was 292 watt hours per mile at 55%. So we're at 55% again, but we're at 200, and we'll see in a second here what the final number is as we come to a stop. Give it a second to update, because it usually is a couple seconds delayed in my experience. But looks like 289 watt hour per mile, so 3 watt hour per mile better than with the Tempest. But again, that's just until this turnaround point, and I'd say that's within margin of error. Realistically, I wouldn't consider that to be any actual difference. But we're going to get back onto the interstate, and then we'll go over the final numbers once we get back to the Circle K. And I would say any difference that's less than like 5% difference probably isn't a meaningful difference in my experience, or in my opinion. We are just exiting back in Rock Hill, 39%, 294 watt hour per mile, but I'll see you guys in just a few seconds at the Circle K. Well, just put it into park. We're 293 watt hour per mile versus I believe it was 295 or 298, but we'll go over all the data at the end with the other covers. So slightly more efficient, I guess, but again, I'd say that's within margin of error. Same exact time, looks like 20 kilowatt hour again. But in that data at the end, I'm also going to pull in the Testify data, so that way you would have a little bit more granularity since this is obviously rounded. But let's get plugged in. I'll pull off the Gemini covers. We've got a nice F-150 Lightning XLT there. You can see there. And then we've got a BMW i4, so quite the variety. I'm going to be using the 120 kilowatt charger. I don't think it's going to make a difference. That'll do 300 amps up to 120 kilowatts. Maybe a couple seconds that will have less power than on the 180 with 400 amps, but the charging curve on this is so poor that it shouldn't even matter. All right, we've got the wheel covers off. I put the center caps on. I'm not going to bother putting the lug bolt covers on. We're at 69%. There we go. Charge complete. Do there. Let's reset the trip. Reset. Let's unplug. Indicating 22 kilowatt hour added, as you can see there. 17 minutes. So let's get unplugged, or we are unplugged. We'll remove the adapter, hit the road. We are on the road now. And I think the reason the charge time was better this time was due to the battery being warmer from the previous charge. So I think I'm going to disregard the charge times in this test because they're not really relevant. I didn't precondition for any of them. So it's really not a valid point of comparison considering that the starting battery temperature was not equivalent. I should have had my CAN server and Teslax running, but I didn't. So we don't know the battery temperature, but that shouldn't impact the efficiency or anything. It'll just impact those charge times between. So it is what it is. But we're gonna hit the road here and do the loop again. I'll see you guys at the halfway point or halfway turnaround point, and then we'll see you back at the charging station. And then after we get back, we'll actually go through and review all the data. And again, I'll be linking that down below. And the Tempest wheel covers, there's a link down below with a discount code if you're interested in purchasing those. And just to continue the trend, so it's predicting 57% at the turnaround point and 42% on arrival with both punched into the nav here. So let's get to it. I think that 42% is not going to be accurate because the last two times it's been 39% that we've arrived, but I don't think we're going to see a huge difference. Maybe we'll see over 300 watt-hour per mile this time, but I don't know. That's why we're testing this. Well, there's the exit up there. We're just about to exit. 302 watt-hour per mile as of right now, but again, we'll get the kind of consistent reading at the end of the ramp. So pretty easy. Just been running autopilot the entire time on all three of these tests so far. Really glad that it works on unmapped roads and it's consistent. I remember doing this with the Rivian, and mind you, this was a little while ago at this point, so hopefully Driver Plus has improved by now, but it would be phased by like the bumps in the road, some of the bridges, and just freak out and cut out. So definitely glad that autopilot is just fine with being on the entire time. So we're at a stop here at the bridge, and 294 watt-hour per mile, 55%. So basically the exact same as the others. I think that's slightly more efficient actually on a watt-hour per mile basis, but same percentage. So I would say really within margin of error again, but let's get back on the interstate, head north, and then I'll see you guys back at Circle K. But it's looking like these are all three going to be very similar to the point where it basically doesn't matter. But again, the data will speak for itself. And we're just exiting. There's the Rock Hill exit. We're at 39%, 302 watt-hour per mile. So I'll see you guys at the charging station. But looks like it's going to be slightly less efficient without the covers, which shouldn't be much of a surprise. Just put it in park. 39% arrival, 298 watt-hour per mile, which is slightly higher, exact same time, same kilowatt hour used. So we're going to charge up to 70%, and then I'll charge it back up a little bit more. Well, after driving about 210 miles or so today, testing the different wheel covers or lack thereof, I think I've come to the conclusion that it essentially doesn't matter. I'll put the data down below, of course, and also a screenshot, but we're within about 2% of each other. Benefit or loss, which in my opinion really doesn't matter. You're going to lose a lot more energy just by adjusting your speed or by wind or by temperature. There's so many other factors that will have a much larger impact that a 2% difference with your wheel covers. I mean, obviously if you can get 2% better, you should, but I wouldn't have that be the deciding factor on whether you run wheel covers or not, or which wheel covers you run. Just based on your own preference versus function. It's basically a style choice. So comment down below if you have any questions, what your thoughts are on wheel covers, if you run them, why you run them, why you don't run them. But if you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you on the next one.